Very good day. Today class we are going to discuss about what, where, how and when. For class 6 we are going to discuss what, where, how and when. When we say what the things, the event happened. When we say where, the place is important. When we say how, what happened, and when we say the date is important. So as per history concern, what, where, how, and when. The place is important, the date is important, name of the person is important. And we also see every day what is happening in and around through radio, television, newspaper, and etc. Today's in the digital world, we are able to see. And also see uh, what can we know about the past. That's what we see. What they eat, what kind of clothes they wore, the houses which they lived. We can find out about their lives, hunters, herders, farmers, rulers, even the merchant, the priest, craftsperson, artist, musician, scientist, how they lived. You can also find about what kind of games they played, uh, what stories they heard, and what plays they saw or songs they sang. These are all things we can know about the past. So where did the people they live? People have lived along the banks of the river because the river was source of water for the agriculture. So mostly they have lived nearby the river. So let you also look into in this textbook, which I am going to show you to you. Yes, here you can see the people. Uh, you are able to see in the screen. Here the skilled gather. That is the people who gather their food. So gathering food also it is a skill. So they knew about the vast wealth where it's available, vast plant where is available in and around the forest. They collected the roots, fruits, and other forest produce for their food. They also definitely they hunted the animal, isn't it? So very important thing, the Sulaiman and Kirdhar hills to the northwest. You are able to see in this map. So northwest, in the west part of North India, you can see Kirdar and Sulaiman. These two areas, and also here is Garo Hill. These important things first we come to know. The Sulaiman and Girdar Hill to the northwest, some of the areas where the women and the men first began to grow the crops such as wheat and barley about 8,000 years ago. They, grow in this particular area, that is Kirdar and Sulaiman. And also see, people also rear the animal. Rear the animal is nothing but, cattle rearing, pastoring animals. So they lived in the villages mostly. And you also see this Caro Hill. In this particular Caro Hill, you're able to see northeast part of the area, and Vindhya in this area, in the central part of the India. These were some of the other areas where the people lived. That is, ancient people, the old people were old means the ancient, right? So thereby they developed their civilizations. the places where rice was first grown are in the north of the Vindhyas. There only they, uh, grown the crops, rice crops particularly. The river Indus and its tributaries. Tributary is nothing but where the small river of that particular big river. So it's the branches of the river. So we are tracing the river Indus and tributaries. Uh, you know, 4,700 years ago, Indus have five branch of or tributaries of river like Satluj, Beas. Like that, we have branches of river, and also Ganga River 2,500 years ago. We come to know the city has developed, which means that the city has developed 2,500 years ago near the banks of the river Ganga. And river Ganga also branches or tributaries like Sun, river Yamuna, like that. And you are able to locate again in the India map. You are able to locate here Ganga. It has branches Yamuna, Chambal, River Sun. Same way, Indus which also have branches like Jhelum, Zeenat, Ravi, Bias, and Sutlej. So, Indus 4,500 years ago, where Ganga 2,500 years ago, the cities have started developed over there. And coming to this, throughout the people, they traveled. That is another fact. The ancient time, particularly Magadha, the areas where present day Bihar, that particular area called Magadha, there were 16 Mahajanapadas. Mahajanapadas, a big state like Kosala, Avanti, Magadha. These are all important states. Among them, Magadha was very, very big state. That state only the a big, you know, empire and all started. That means it is a very strong, state. Very powerful ruler were there. So rulers were very powerful, and they set the large kingdoms, and also they tried to conquer the other places. Coming to these people throughout the people travel widely one part to another parts the country. The hills and high mountain, it is very dangerous to cross travel. uh, it's the journey was almost dangerous in condition, so but never impossible. So men and women moved in search uh, of their livelihood. And so men and women moved one place to another places, even though they for the disaster, they like flood or drought, they moved for this cause or this reason. They moved one place to another places. Sometimes men marched in army, conquering the other land beside merchants. Merchants are definitely the traders. They one place to another places. They travel and they will sell what they have. So this is what what kind of you know uh, vehicle they carry their goods one place to another places. That is interesting facts to know about in the past. And religious teachers also they walked and spread their ideals, and also see that the villages to village, town to town, and stopping offer instruction. We see these religious grow. They advised and taught their ideas, the good things. Some people perhaps travel driven by spirit of the adventure. Not only that, even for they want to see the new, explore other places. For that reason, also The people have traveled. For example, the Seleucus Nicator from Greeks, they came to India. That kind of advance they made. I also see that why do people travel nowadays? Nowadays, we have so many works. People are moving for studies. People are moving for their work, definitely for their livelihood, or even people to travel for the sport tour, religious tour. We see even excursion and many more for the adventures, even interior part of the forest areas. People used to go visit the places and see that hills, mountains, and seas form a natural frontier of the subcontinent, that is India. So while it was difficult to cross the frontier, India, we see as a subcontinent uh, and the peninsular region, three sides of the water is covered, whereas in the northern part of the area, so the land area is covered. Particularly, it's not a land; it's a northern mountain. It's fully covered, so it is very difficult to cross uh, the mountain area to come to India. So people from across the frontier they came to subcontinent and settled through the Poland and Khyber Pass. There was a two pass where the pass is and inside interior of the mountain there was a pass get into and they came to India and also settled the peoples. And we are going to see that how they settled all those things and these movement, people enriched our cultures and tradition. When the people come to India and they settled and they influenced and infused their own cultures, ideas, and all. Next, when come to the names of the land, how India got its name, India, or we another name what we called Bharat. A very interesting fact that you know the Iranian and the Greeks who came through the northwest of 2000, 500 years ago, and were familiar with the Indus, called it is the Indus or Indus, and the land of the East River was called India. So name in Bharata was used in the group of the people who lived in the north west and who are mentioned in the very uh, old Indian text book, that is religious text. Rig Veda says it's called Bharata. And the earliest composition in Sanskrit, that is 3,500 years ago, the Rig Veda is mentioning about this country, Bharata. And even today also we call Bharat. And finding about the fast, it's a very interesting fact how we can find about our past, through the evidence. What are the evidence we have? The manuscript. Manuscript is nothing but writing by hand on the palm leaves. So this manuscript, Latin words, manu means hand, and the palm leaf or even the barks of the trees as a birch which grows in the Himalayas. And they even the many manuscript, it's eaten by insect or destroyed due to the flood, all those things. Apart from that, we have some, few manuscript. Through that, we are learning the, literatures, and we see here um, this pictures you are able to see. Next one is often how the manuscript they are preserved, through the uh, and the temple and the monasteries. That was a common place where the people can come, even the people who is common to them. So they kept these valuable records and the books, what it deals about religious belief, practices, and lives, kings, medicine, and science. And we also see that the epic poem plays, many of them were written in the Sanskrit, even some of them literature, like the common people language like Prakrit. Even we are able to see the Tamil literatures and also see the study about the inscription. Inscription, studying the inscription or the study about the inscription, what we call it's epigraphy. That one who know how to study the inscription, the person called epigraphist. So here is the inscription which is inscribing on the pillar or the plate of plate surface. And sometimes kings got their orders, even they inscribed. Nowadays, the order is issuing through the paper. So the printed format and signing, it's the order of the government. So those days the kings they ordered through the pillar. So in this pillar it's mentioning the people to see and obey the order. So there are other kinds of inscription as well. There are, like including kings and queens recorded they did what they did. And we see kings often they are kept their records of their victories in the battle, whereas it could not find out the common people they never keeping the record that practice they are not had. And you can see there were many other things that were made of used in the past. Those who study these objects also called. So what we are seeing the epigraphist inscription about the inscription. Next to what we are going to see about the uh, archaeologists who study about the past to remind things, the objects like a pot, old buildings, monuments, you know, that can be visible or invisible. It can be a dig and dig under the surface of the earth, and finally finding out the you know the year and what it says, the information, the bringing out. So from these kind of study, what we call the archaeology, when you know how to study man, they're called archaeologist. And even they are able to study the bone, baked clay or metal objects that are made of odd, imperishable substances, usually survive for long time. We could see the pot or uh, terracotta, uh, you know, toys. Terracotta or the pot which is made of clay. After that, they will burn. Before they burn the clay time, they used to write. Then they burn the plate. That is called tablet. So in that, long time, even the, rain also it won't fade till long time it survive. So from that we are able to understand the past. So these are all things we are able to see the part from old cities like these were used about 4,500 years ago. The right you can see the old silver coins such as one were used from other 2,500 years. What ways is the coin different from the ones we use today? So archaeologists also look for the bones, animal, birds, even the fish. Even the plants remain survive for more rarely if seeds or grain or piece of wood have been burnt. Historian. So I am a history teacher, one who was studying, researching. You know that person called a historian. That is scholar who study the past often use the word source to refer to the information found from manuscript, inscription, archaeologists, and once those are found, learning about the past becomes an adventure as we reconstruct it bit by bit. So historians and archaeologists are like detectives. So how the police person is detective to investigate the crimes or the cases. Like that, historians, archaeologists like detective use use all this source evidence based on that they bring the truth about our past. So, is it one past or many? If this is a question now, it is not only one past. If you notice the title of this book, Our Past, we have used the word past in plural to draw the attention of the fact that the past was different for different groups of the people. For example, the lives of herders or farmers were different from those of kings and queens. The lives of merchants were different from those of craft person and so on. Also, as a true, even today, people followed a different practice, custom, different parts of the country. For example, today most of the people living in Andaman Island get their own food by fishing, hunting, or collecting forest produce. By contrast, most of the people in the city depends on others for supply of the food. So difference such these existed in the past as well. Even today, if it is possible just to imagine most of the time with our past. So there is another kind of differences we are able to see. They kept the record of their victories. The kings always used to keep their records, uh, their victories. But ordinary people such as hunters, fishers, folk gatherer, farmers, herds did not keep the record what they did. So archaeology helps us to find out about their lives. There is much that remains unknown. Coming what do dates mean? Dates definitely today's dates, and we see 2020 month and the 2020 2020. When we say we are adding AD, the AD we can add, for example, 15 or 16 April 2020 AD. We can add the date is important. Each and every day is one day is gone. The next day, the date is important. Our birthday date to death date very important. In our life, date is very significant factors. And we see that these years are content from this date generally assigned to the birth of Jesus Christ. 2020 means our world existing only 2020 years ago. Before that, no year was there. No, there was a year, but we want a common date throughout the world so that historians from various countries commonly they and understood and agreed. There was a year of the Lord, the year one, and the birth of Jesus Christ. It's a year one. Worldwide, the historian accepted. Yes, that is why we are also celebrating New Year one. New era has begun on the birth of Jesus Christ. It's a word the historian has accepted. Now, 2020 AD, we are also called, common era, CE, you can also mention. Before the birth of Jesus Christ, how we are calculating the date. It goes reversed. Year 1, 200, 1000, 500, 5000, 10,000. These before Christ, what we call it before Christ. So we will refer to dates going back from the present using 2000. as our starting point. For example, 2500 years ago, the Gautama Buddha was born. What it means that it is 500 BC. So 2020 and adding that 500 years, 2500 years ago. So like that, date it's mean and letters with the date. That's what before Christ, Anno Domini. AD means it's not after the Anno Domini, and in the year of the Lord. And we used to do Common Era CE or BCE before Common Era. In India, we began using this form of dating from about 200 years ago. So here, some of the things are important. All inscription contains both script and the language. Definitely, any inscription we take, it would have written Tamil or Sanskrit and other languages would have written that inscription. It has a kind of the format of the writing letters as well the language. How does the scholars understand what was written? It's known as decipherment. The decipherment you are able to see here, it is visible. So here is the one of the most famous stories decipherment comes from Egypt. The kings and queens about 5,000 years ago, Rosetta is town on the north coast of Egypt, and here an inscribed stone was found, which contained inscription in three different languages and a script. Scholars who could read Greek figure out that the name kings and queen were enclosed in the little frame called Carchos or Cartoge, and which here is the Greek Egyptian, you know, signs side by side identify the sounds for which the Egyptian letters stood. As you can see, lion stood for L and word for A. When you look at L, it's a lion, whereas A is a word. And so that is what we are able to understand. Once they knew what the letters stood for, they could read other inscriptions as well. So here is the book exercises so that we can understand what were the subject on which books were written in the past, which of these would you like to read. So can do well, all the best. Thank you. See you in the next class.